Good morning, Art Putney, and welcome to another week. I hope you had a great weekend, and those of you watching the football enjoyed all of the excellent goals that were taking place. Today's assembly is on the theme of identity, and we're going to be focusing on value 3, a desire to contribute to society in a positive way, and value 4, a sense of self-awareness combined with the integrity to be compassionate towards others. And our pillar is community. Our British value is one of liberty, that I have the freedom to make the choices that affect me. But within those choices, I must recognize that I'm accountable for all of my actions. And this week's quote is a quote from Hinduism. A spiritually illumined soul lives in the world, yet is never contaminated by it. So what do we mean by our identity? Identity is who you are, the way you think about yourself, the way you are viewed by the world, and the characteristics that define you. And some of those characteristics are fixed, like the color of our skin or our ethnicity. But some of the ways that we are viewed by the world can change and shift depending on how we represent ourselves, depending on what version of ourselves we are wanting to see the world as or have the world see us as. We can change how we dress. We can change how we wear our hair. We can change our sexuality, our religion. And so identity is something that can be very complicated as it can change over the course of our life. But what is the most important thing I think about identity? That it makes us unique, special, and not like anyone else. And that is something that I really want everyone to take away from the assembly today. Why is it important that we're unique and special and not like anyone else? Well, if we were all the same, the world would be incredibly boring. We'd all take the same book out of the library. We'd all watch the same films. We'd all talk about the same stuff. The world is an interesting place because we are all unique and diverse and special and not like anybody else. And so that's something that must be celebrated. Now, identity is something that we started to talk about at a much younger age. I was definitely not aware of kind of conversations about identity until much later in my life. And I think that's very, very different for young children today. And identity at children's level can be spoken about in a really fun, accessible way, which then supports us as we get older, where conversations around identity and identity politics are much more complicated and much more rooted in many, many societal issues. So I want to give a few examples of the way that identity can be talked about in a very simple way for younger children. This is a book called How to Be a Lion. It's about a lion called Leonard. And lots of people make assumptions about lions, that they're fierce and that they eat and chase animals and that they are very aggressive. But actually, Leonard is not like that. His identity is much different to what society would expect of a lion. He's very gentle. He likes to daydream. He likes to play with words and write poetry. This is another book called Avocado Asks. Now, avocado is in the supermarket, and one day a child asks their parent, is an avocado a fruit or a vegetable? And the parent doesn't know the answer. And Avocado's world is turned upside down by that because his identity is uncertain. He goes around the supermarket trying to work out what he is, and he's very unsettled until eventually he talks about it with the tomato, who also has had identity crisis issues. And in the end, Avocado feels happy and settled about his identity. But what I think is important about this book is that it raises that at times in our life, our identity might feel uncomfortable. We might feel uncertain. We might have questions about it. And what I would say is that that is normal. And the best thing to do is to talk to a trusted friend or a trusted adult about it. And it will really help you work through those questions. Other books that are out now for children are around where potentially children are questioning their identity being different to other people. So here my shadow is pink and Julian is a mermaid, is supporting children who perhaps don't fit the norm. They feel that their identity is different to those around them or what is expected of them. And again, this is reassuring young children that your identity, your uniqueness is okay. I just want to talk about this book that I read earlier this year, The Gurugu Pledge. And it's a story about a number of migrants from across the Saharan countries and sub-Saharan Africa who have traveled to this mountain in Morocco. And you can see where it is there in the small red circle in the green area. And they have based themselves on Mount Gurugu. And they're trying to get into this Spanish area of Morocco called Melilla. And if they're able to climb the 3 barbed wire fences and get into this Spanish area, they would be on European soil and therefore would be able to claim asylum as a European migrant. But it's very, very difficult. Some of them have scaled the fence up to 8 times and each time been violently beaten and attacked by guards and guard dogs and headed back into the forested area and back up the mountain. And what this book really struck me was that in this sense of darkness and kind of really difficult time for these migrants, their identity was what kept them going. It was their identity that gave them a sense of purpose and kept them strong and united. I just want to show you some examples here. Many of the men in the camp love football. Some of them were very, very good footballers. This is Joseph here, who was a football player in Mali. And the way that they keep themselves going is that each day they set up football teams and they use their country identity. So they make teams Mali, Senegal, and they play against each other, not only to keep themselves busy, but to keep themselves fit and active. And this sense of identity about being a footballer and representing their country is important to them in getting through each day in a really, really difficult situation. Another thing that's also a strong part of these men's identity is their faith. And they have not lost their faith whilst on this mountain. And their faith is still providing them with structure and support, both spiritually and emotionally whilst on the mountain. And you can see here a picture of them washing. And here you can see that they've set up a temporary prayer area facing Mecca. So that again, this key part of their identity can keep going in a difficult time. And so I think for me, identity is not only about who we are day to day, but it's also about who we are when times are difficult. It's about helping us know who we are when perhaps the world around us is not an easy place. I want to give an example then of identity within a community. And so the Windrush community for me is one of the best examples of a sense of identity within a community. As I'm sure you're aware, the Windrush generation came over on many ships following the end of World War II and following the cry from Britain to have these people come and support Britain to help rebuild Britain after the World War II. And many of these people came willingly. They came for a better life. They believed that coming to Britain, coming to what was called the motherland, would support them in making a better life for them and their families. But sadly, that was not the case. And many of them faced extreme levels of racism. They weren't able to necessarily use the skills and the knowledge that they'd acquired in the Caribbean to do the jobs that they wanted. And many have found that very, very difficult. But we know that many of them went on to support the incredible work that the NHS did. And we have to thank them for that. Tomorrow, June the 22nd, is Windrush Day. And this is the logo that Lambeth are using this year to represent and celebrate the identity of that community with the message, I am here. And we can see from the logo that within that diversity, there is many, many different identities. Although the Windrush community are one community, they are diverse, they are unique, and they're made up from many different people from many different nations. And I think this logo really summarizes the importance of uniqueness within identity. And finally, what about our own community at APA? We're all part of our APA community and have an identity within that. You may not feel that necessarily this is a key part of your identity, but I would disagree. To come here every day for 5 years, perhaps even 7, is having a significant impact on who you are. Hearing the Year 11 speak at graduation on Friday made it clear just what an impact APA had had on their identity and how that was going to shape them going forward into sixth form or their college years. School is an important part of our identity and one that stays with us lifelong. So I want to finish with this. Who are you? Perhaps you're a son, a daughter, a brother, a sister, a grandchild, a cousin, or a friend. Maybe you're a nerd, a geek, a rebel, a trendsetter, or the class clown, the class bully, a misfit, a legend. When all the labels have been stripped away, who are you really? Kind, generous, popular, cool, plain, boring, serious, mature, mean, spiteful, cheeky, rude, supportive, caring, funny, independent. When all the adjectives have been stripped away, who are you really? An amazing artist, a great dancer, a remarkable pianist, a wonderful cook, a wicked rugby player, a computer genius. When all the skills have been stripped away, who are you really? We all hide behind our roles. We all hide behind what other people think we are like. We all hide behind our talents. Let us have the courage to discover who we really are. Let us have the confidence to demonstrate who we really are. Let us have an open mind to accept others as they really are. Let us have an opportunity to celebrate who we really are. So just 2 notices to finish. APA's Summer Festival on the 22nd of July. Here's a good opportunity to celebrate your identity within your 4 houses. There's going to be lots going on. It's going to be a really fantastic day, but we are asking for anyone who would like to take part in APA's Got Talent. If you have a talent, please sign up via your tutor and auditions will be on the 1st of July. And another opportunity to celebrate your talents is going to be at Sports Day on the 21st of July. It's going to be taking place at the Barnes Elm Trust. There'll be lots and lots of different events for everybody to take part in, and there'll be an assembly coming up to inform you of all of that. But if you have any questions in the meantime, please speak to the PE department.